What if players 333 and 222, dead players in Squid Game Season 3, actually survived, slipping through the chaos, hiding in the shadows, and changing everything we thought we knew? In this video, we will talk about what would happen if Myung-gi and Jun-hee made it out alive in Squid Game Season 3. Jun-hee is a kind and resilient young woman, doing her best to stay independent despite being pregnant. With no family to rely on, she was orphaned at a young age. She carries the weight of her circumstances alone. Her complicated past with Lee Myung-gi, a flashy crypto influencer known as MG Coin, plays a major role in her story. After convincing her to invest 30 million won in a scam coin called Dalmatian, Myung-gi disappeared for 6 months. Jun-hee believed he vanished to avoid angry investors and feared he may have been killed. Their breakup followed the scam, but Jun-hee soon discovered she was pregnant with Myung-gi's child. When she told him, he urged her to get an abortion. She refused. By the time the games begin, she's on her own, assuming Myung-gi is gone for good. Jun-hee is clever and surprisingly skilled at dokji, outplaying a recruiter and earning her invitation. Before the game, she heads to a gynecology appointment but walks out before being seen, frustrated by Myung-gi not answering her calls. Unbeknownst to her, Myung-gi had just been approached by the same recruiter, setting their fates on a crash course neither of them could predict. In the fourth game, players entered a large, dimly lit room with a gumball machine at its center. They were divided into 2 teams by drawing balls, blue or red. Myung-gi drew blue, Jun-hee red, but before the game began, they swapped roles. Myung-gi became red, the hunter, and Jun-hee blue, the hunted. As the game started, Jun-hee quickly joined forces with Hyunju and Gyum-ja. The 3 moved cautiously through the twisting maze corridors. Hyunju stood guard, clutching a knife, ready to fight off any red players. Jun-hee heavily pregnant and exhausted, and Gyum-ja determined to help Jun-hee at all times. Their goal was to find the exit and escape or hide before the red team could find and kill them. Meanwhile, Myung-gi was alone. After a tense confrontation and fight with Namgyu in the bathrooms, who had threatened Jun-hee, Myung-gi refused any alliance. Nervous but focused, he prowled the maze by himself. Soon enough, he found a blue player hiding and killed them without hesitation. Killing still came easily to him, even as his mind shifted. Without Namgyu's influence, Myung-gi's mood changed. Instead of hunting for kills, he wanted to protect Jun-hee. Back with the blues, Gyum-ja's labor pains grew intense. They hid in a small enclosed room where Hyunju guarded the door, her knife ready as Gyum-ja prepared to help Jun-hee give birth. After the baby was born suddenly, player 202 burst into the room, launching an attack on Hyunju. A brutal knife fight ensued, tense and desperate. Hyunju managed to overpower and eliminate 202. She then saw the exit door nearby and opened it, but hesitated, remembering Jun-hee and Gyum-ja. She turned back to the room. Quietly, Myung-gi appeared behind her when she was talking with Jun-hee and Gyum-ja about the exit. Jun-hee sees Myung-gi and Hyunju, noticing that Jun-hee is looking at something or someone behind her, and she turns her back. Hyunju raised her knife, getting scared because he is a red team player and still blaming Myung-gi for killing her friend Young-mi. But Jun-hee, holding the newborn, shouted, "No, he's not here to hurt us." Reluctantly, Hyunju lowered her weapon as Myung-gi showed he meant no harm. Together the 5, Myung-gi, Jun-hee, Hyunju, Gyum-ja, and the newborn, headed for the exit. Myung-gi stayed behind the group, protective and alert. Outside, Young-sik's desperation reached a breaking point. Having failed to kill anyone, he threatened Jun-hee. Myung-gi stopped him, forcefully pushing Young-sik outside the room and slamming the door shut. Gunshots and screams echoed behind it. When they reopened the door, Young-sik lay dead. Gyum-ja and Hyunju collapsed in tears, even if they were actually with Myung-gi, since none of them wanted Jun-hee to be killed. Jun-hee held her baby tightly, shaken but relieved. Myung-gi watched silently, a rare flicker of hope in his eyes. After the game, they all returned to the dorms, exhausted and tense. Myung-gi quietly slipped away, still afraid Jun-hee would reject him. He worried that what he did to Young-sik might have made everything worse between them. But Jun-hee didn't think much about it. She saw that he had protected her. In fact, it made their relationship just a little stronger, not weaker. Jun-hee, Hyun-ju, and Gyum-ja sat closely together on a bed, helping each other care for the newborn. Gyum-ja offered Jun-hee advice, sharing tips on how to handle the baby. As night fell before the lights went out, Jun-hee and Hyun-ju held the child together. Meanwhile, Gyum-ja walked over to Gi-hun, and they had a deep conversation. She reassured him that the rebellion was not his fault, trying to ease his guilt. The next morning, the guards entered the dorms carrying a coffin. Jun-hee and Hyun-ju froze, their eyes wide with shock. They immediately searched for Geum-ja, but she was nowhere to be found. As they moved away from the beds, their horror deepened. Geum-ja was hanging from a high bunk bed, having taken her own life after witnessing her son's death. Jun-hee sobbed in shock, overwhelmed by grief. Hyun-ju was stunned, but too broken by loss to cry. She no longer cared about living, but now her sole mission was to protect Jun-hee and the baby at all costs. Together, they approached Gi-hun. When the announcement came that the players must proceed to the fifth game, Gi-hun, Jun-hee, and Hyun-ju walked toward the arena, while Myung-gi lingered in the distance, uncertain. In the fifth game, the jump rope game, everything happens for now like the original series. Namgyu goes first and dies by the troll of Minsu. When no one wants to go, Jun-hee tells Hyun-ju to carry her baby to the end of the game, but Hyun-ju says that Jun-hee should also go with her. Jun-hee tells her not for now. Gi-hun later offers to carry the baby himself, but Hyun-ju is a bit overwhelmed because Jun-hee doesn't want to go on the bridge even with her help, because Jun-hee is in pain after labor and one of her feet is broken. Gi-hun ends up carrying the baby and he saves her. Myung-gi gets close to Jun-hee and Hyun-ju, and he starts yelling at Jun-hee because she doesn't want to go on the bridge. Jun-hee shows the fracture to him and asks him, "Would you be able to carry me?" Myung-gi looks in concern but walks away. No, he made it clear he isn't able to carry Jun-hee. When the time is running out, after Myung-gi passes the game, Hyun-ju tells Jun-hee something. She tells her that if she doesn't go on the bridge with her, Hyun-ju won't also go. She believes and trusts Gi-hun a lot, and believes that he will help the newborn for now, but Hyun-ju is the only choice left for Jun-hee to survive the game. Even if Jun-hee still denies, Hyun-ju has enough. She grabs Jun-hee by the hand hardly, gets her up off the bench, and they both go on the bridge. Jun-hee is scared, but at the same time she trusts Hyun-ju. She just hesitated a lot, but after thinking about it, she ends up trusting in Hyun-ju. Hyun-ju helps Jun-hee jump and talks to her softly, stating that everything will be okay while the game keeps going. They keep jumping, and Jun-hee doesn't have a lot of problems jumping since Hyun-ju is very strong and skilled to help her jump easily. When the gap comes, Hyun-ju tells Jun-hee if she can carry her. Jun-hee is shocked, but as she has no other way, she accepts it. Hyun-ju starts getting a serious and focused look, carrying Jun-hee. She had more weight and couldn't jump that high, but adrenaline sets in as she remembers that she cannot let Jun-hee die, and she jumps over the gap. Everyone is stunned. A player carrying another player just jumped over the gap like nothing. Hyun-ju continues to carry Jun-hee and keeps jumping, each time getting weaker. The timer is almost out, and just when it hits 0, she reaches the final platform. They both survived. Not much happens after the fifth game, except for players threatening to kill the baby, since they thought it was unfair for it to be another player. The baby gets her own number this time, and the VIPs almost mockingly set it to be 444, because why not? Gi-hun and Hyun-ju both step up to protect Jun-hee and the newborn from any threats. Myung-gi remains distant, lying in his bed, not caring much about the situation, at least on the surface. But after Jun-hee speaks with him before the dinner, calmly, sincerely, thanking him for what he did for her and the baby during the hide-and-seek game, something shifts slightly. Myung-gi starts thinking about what he truly wants. That night, reflecting on everyone who helped Jun-hee, Hyun-ju, Gyum-ja, even Gi-hun, he makes a choice. By the time the final game arrives, Myung-gi takes a position among the ex-voters, showing that he intends to protect the baby this time, at least in the beginning. The division is clear: 6 O voters, 4 X voters. Min-soo, who once tried to act tough, is now also marked as an O, but not by choice. He was threatened and cornered by the rest of the O group the night before. The X-voters are Jun-hee, Gi-hun, Hyunju, and now Myung-gi. Tension fills the air. Everyone knows what the O voters want: to kill the baby before the final round ends. But they're not expecting this much resistance. The X group is strong. The first round begins. Chaos erupts. But rather than attacking the X's directly, the O voters turn on Min-soo, isolating and killing him within seconds. They make it clear anyone not with them is a target. The second round begins, and this time, there's no holding back. The O voters go after the baby, but Gi-hun, Hyunju, and Myung-gi defend Jun-hee fiercely. A brutal, violent fight breaks out, and in the end, all 6 O voters are killed. Only the X's remain. Peace settles in for a moment. Jun-hee cradles her baby in a corner, tears in her eyes, watching her last allies breathe heavily from the fight. But the silence doesn't last. Myung-gi gets an idea, one last thought. He could kill everyone else, win the full prize, and still leave with Jun-hee and the baby. Greed and twisted logic poison his mind. Without warning, when it seems like everyone is recovering, Myung-gi walks toward Hyunju. She doesn't even suspect it, a sudden betrayal. He kicks her hard off the platform. She falls. Instant death. Jun-hee's scream cuts through the arena. Gi-hun is frozen in shock. Jun-hee sobs uncontrollably, devastated. She screams at Myung-gi, asking him why. How could he do that? Myung-gi simply walks over and presses the button to start the next round. He turns to Gi-hun. The final showdown begins. The fight is brutal. Gi-hun is fueled by grief and rage, Myung-gi by desperation and greed. They go back and forth in a violent brawl. Jun-hee watches, trembling, holding her baby tightly, witnessing the destruction of everyone who once protected her. She sees the love, the pain, the betrayal, all in one scene. All for money, all for survival. Eventually, Myung-gi manages to overpower Gi-hun. He delivers a brutal kick to Gi-hun's hand, knocking the knife loose. As Gi-hun scrambles to retrieve it, Myung-gi pushes him off the platform. Another one death. It's over. Myung-gi turns around. Jun-hee stands there, frozen. He approaches her, trying to explain. He says that they now have all the money they could ever need, that they can raise the baby in luxury, that all of it was worth it. But Jun-hee isn't listening. She's crying, shaking, looking at the man she once trusted, now a psychopath. She tells him she never wants to see him again. Not after what he did, not after the blood he spilled. The games end. Myung-gi and Jun-hee both survive, but not together. Their relationship is ruined beyond repair. They return to separate cities in Korea. Jun-hee, traumatized but alive, raises her daughter alone. She cuts off every possible way for Myung-gi to contact her. As for Myung-gi, he sits with his fortune, broken for a while, until he convinces himself it was all worth it. He pours the money into crypto, buys penthouses, and lives extravagantly. But deep down, something's hollow. And still he never reaches out again, because he knows Jun-hee was right.